radio shouldn't have been on. That was my first thought. Not the message, not the voice, not the fact that it came through a machine that had been dead longer than my last relationship. It was a 1962 Zenith Transoceanic, beautiful brick of brushed metal and knobs, completely non-functional, or at least it had been. I was in the basement oiling a reel-to-reel when it crackled to life, not like it picked up a broadcast. No static sweep, no station, just straight to a voice. Do not answer the knock at 2:16 p.m. Female, garbled, like it had been passed through a blender, a modem, and a dying throat. Calm though, calm in the way a drowning person looks right before they go under. The voice repeated once, then the radio cut off. I stared at it for a full minute, checked the plug, still not connected. Then I laughed, because that's what you do when the past tells you the future through a corpse radio. You laugh, say something like, well, I guess ghosts work shifts now. The thing is, I wasn't expecting anyone at 2:16 p.m. I work from home. I don't have friends that knock. I don't answer the door. I don't even answer emails if they come before noon. So I did nothing. Until 2:15, when I stood in my kitchen, coffee in hand, and stared at the door like it was a game show buzzer. At 2:16 sharp, 3 knocks. Software polite, almost apologetic. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The knocks didn't come again. Whoever it was, they left. I watched them through the peephole. A guy in a red hoodie carrying a grocery bag. No big deal. Until 2:43 p.m. when sirens screamed down my street and stopped 2 houses down. Paramedics hauled out a body, red hoodie, grocery bag tipped on the ground, eggs cracked and leaking on the pavement like something's brains. Neighbor said he collapsed right after walking away from a house. My house. Massive stroke. Dead before he hit the sidewalk. I didn't answer the door, just like the voice said. That night, I checked the Zenith again. Still dead. No power, no battery, nothing. I told myself it was a coincidence. One weird blip, a warning from nowhere that meant nothing. But I didn't throw the radio out. You don't toss the fire alarm after it goes off. You wait to see if it's going to scream again. And sure enough, it did. 3 weeks later, right as I was about to leave for a concert, the voice was worse this time, crackling like fire under ice. Do not take the freeway. Do not take the freeway. Do not. I unplugged the thing and sat down. Didn't go. Watched the news at midnight instead. 10-car pileup on the 405. Semi crossed 3 lanes. 5 dead. Same stretch I would have been on. Same hour. At this point, I should have been scared. But honestly, I just felt called out. Like the universe was roasting me, one fatal event at a time. I started keeping a notebook. Time, message, outcome. Each entry shorter than the last. There were only 4 by the time I stopped laughing. That was the night it told me, do not fall asleep. You die in your dreams tonight. I stayed up, watched the shadows crawl like insects around the corners of the room. At 3:44 a.m., the radio let out one final burst of static and whispered, "Good choice." I started leaving the radio on at night, not because I trusted it, but because I didn't trust myself to hear it if it started talking again. It hadn't made a sound in 3 days, and I was beginning to think I'd imagined the whole thing. Sleep deprivation can do weird things. So can guilt and caffeine and Reddit forums about broadcast hauntings. Yes, that's a thing. No, they weren't helpful. One guy told me to microwave a Bible. Still, I kept the Zenith on a table by my bed like a nightlight from another dimension. The voice came back on a Thursday morning. No warm-up. Just mid-sentence. like it had been talking the whole time, and I'd only just tuned in. Turn left. Not right. Trust us this time. I was brushing my teeth, nearly choked on the mint foam. Trust us? Since when was it plural? That was new. That was worse. The message repeated once, then went dead. 10 minutes later, I left the apartment for an errand. My usual route involved a right turn at the bottom of the hill. Muscle memory. But today, I hesitated. Foot hovered over the gas pedal like I was playing a very boring video game with very real stakes. Left, the voice said. So I turned left. 3 blocks later, I passed a crash site. The kind that closes freeways and ruins lives. Black SUV crumpled like tinfoil. 2 bodies under tarps. 1 car still smoking. Guess which direction they'd been coming from. That night, I made a joke in my notebook. Entry 6. Obeyed ghost traffic. Didn't die. Cool. Then I wrote something else. Something automatic. I've never trusted anyone as much as I trust the voice. I stopped and stared at it. I didn't remember writing that. Didn't remember thinking it. But there it was, in my handwriting. Same pen, same ink. Something about that shook me more than the voice ever had. Because if the warnings were helping me, who was helping them? I tried recording the broadcasts, set up a digital recorder, pointed a camera. Hell, I even left my phone running one night. But the next morning, nothing. Just hiss. Silence. Or worse. Normal radio static. White noise pretending to be harmless. But I remember what the voice said at 3:12 a.m. while I was half asleep and sweating through a nightmare I couldn't remember. They are learning you. Stop writing it down. So I stopped keeping notes. Started sleeping with the lights on. Started checking the mirror twice before leaving the house, like maybe I wouldn't always see me there. I told myself I was still sane. I even said it out loud once, into the silence. I'm not crazy. I'm just on the right frequency. Then I laughed too hard, and the radio crackled in response, like it was laughing with me. I woke up to the sound of a cassette spinning, which was strange, because I don't own a cassette deck. I followed the noise into the back room, where I keep old gear people pay me to fix or forget they ever dropped off. Sitting on my workbench, a Sony WM-D6C, pristine condition. Playing a tape labeled in handwriting I didn't recognize. Do not erase. I pressed it stop, then eject. Blank tape, no markings, no reels in the tray before I went to bed. I was sure of it. I pressed play again, just to be sure. Static, then a voice. Mine. Not now me. Not exactly. A little slower, more exhausted, like someone who'd cried recently and got bored halfway through. If you're hearing this, you didn't make the call. Again. I froze. You let her go. You always let her go. But maybe this time, you'll remember before it's too late. Then silence. I stood there for a long time, tape still hissing. Tried to remember if I'd ever recorded anything like that. Maybe as a joke. Maybe some warped project from my stoner years. Nothing. I don't even know who her is. But all day, that sentence stalked me. You always let her go. It felt like the ending of a breakup I never had. Like waking up with grief you couldn't trace. I even checked my old phone contacts, hoping to spark a memory. One stood out. Claire W. No photo, no notes. I tapped the name, no number. Just a grayed out contact with a last message dated March 12th, 2019, deleted. I've had 5 phones since 2019. That night, the radio came back. 3 words, repeated 10 times, in a voice not quite mine and not quite the voice I'd heard before. Find the tapes. I checked every drawer in the house, found 4 more cassettes. No labels, Just numbers scratched into the plastic. 2, 3, 4, 6. No 1. No 5. I played number 2. A woman's voice this time. Warm, familiar, laughing. You always start with the radio, Evan. Every loop, same damn zenith. I swear, if you ever just listen the first time, then a crash of static. I dropped the tape. My name. She said my name. Later, I walked to the corner store. The cashier was new, young, nervous. As I handed her my receipt, she paused, then looked at me like I'd grown antlers. "You cut your hair," she said. "I almost didn't recognize you. I've never been here before." She blinked. "Right, sorry, just weird. You always used to come in with that girl, Claire." I stared at her. She stared back. I took my bag and left. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the floor with all 4 tapes in front of me, trying to remember someone I was sure I'd never met. At 3 a.m., the radio clicked on. "Do not play tape 6. Then it clicked off. I picked up tape 6, put it in the deck, and pressed play. Tape 6 starts with breathing, shallow, uneven, like someone recovering from a panic attack or starting one. Then a whisper. "I told you not to play this one." Same voice as the woman from tape 2, Claire, the one I supposedly always let go, the one I can't remember but miss like a phantom limb. Her tone is sharper now, not angry, just resigned, like someone who's watched the same movie too many times, always hoping the ending will change. "You're stubborn, Evan. Every version of you is. You always think you can solve it if you just listen hard enough. Piece it together. Save me. Save yourself. Whatever story you're telling this time." Then static. A garbled sound. Something heavy falling. A choked-off gasp. The tape ends mid-breath. I sat there a long time, tape still spinning in the deck. It didn't rewind itself like the others had. The next morning, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. Inside, a single Polaroid. Me and Claire. Her arm around my shoulders. Big dumb smiles on our faces. I'm wearing a shirt I've never owned. She's holding a cassette tape. Number 5. Scrawled on the bottom. Last normal day. September 9th, 2019. Problem is, I have photos from that day. I spent it alone in Milwaukee, doing sound design for a haunted house that never opened. I remember that, don't I? I posted about it on one of the radio forums. Just vague details, no names. Asked if anyone had heard of looped broadcasts or warning signals that preserve memories across timelines. Someone DM'd me within 5 minutes. "They're not warning you," the message said. "They're replaying you." Attached was a spectrogram from an audio file I hadn't posted. Just uploaded on my behalf, apparently. In the visual noise, someone had traced out 6 numbers. 940 I 3271. That night, I couldn't turn the radio off. I unplugged it, took out the batteries it wasn't supposed to need, covered it with a blanket. It still talked, not out loud, inside my head. "Do not look at the mirror in the hallway." So I did. Of course I did. And for half a second, my reflection smiled before I did. Not a big grin, just a twitch, a delay, like someone lip-syncing me. Later, in the kitchen, the lights flickered. I thought it was just my crap wiring, until every bulb in the apartment surged in perfect rhythm, once every 7 seconds, like a heartbeat. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m. The radio came back on. One sentence. "They found her this time, but not in your world." Then a new voice. Mine. "Final approach. You still have time. Don't reroute. Don't let her board." I laughed out loud. Too hard. Again. Jesus, am I a haunted flight pattern now? The radio crackled in response, low and short, almost like it was laughing back. Claire knocked at 2:16 p.m. I didn't answer, not at first. I just stood there, one hand on the doorknob, heart trying to punch a hole through my ribs. I hadn't heard from the radio that day, no warning, no static, not even a sarcastic chuckle from beyond the grave. That silence scared me more than anything. When I finally opened the door, she looked exactly like I remembered, and exactly like I shouldn't. Wavy hair, crescent-shaped scar over her right brow, green jacket with one missing button. She looked older than the Polaroid, but still her, still Claire. She smiled, shy and careful. "Hi," she said. "You're earlier than usual." We didn't talk much at first. She came in, sat on the edge of my couch like she wasn't sure it would hold her, like I wasn't real yet. I made tea, because that's what you do when someone you don't remember misses you. I asked how she found me. She said she didn't. She just ended up here. Woke up with my address written in her own handwriting on a napkin tucked in her coat pocket. No memory of writing it. But she recognized the name. "I think we've done this before," she said. And I laughed. "That makes one of us." She smiled at that. "You always laugh first, right before everything breaks again." I showed her the tapes. She didn't touch them. Just stared like she'd already heard them too many times. "You're not supposed to play 6, she said quietly. "Already did," I said. "I figured." Then she reached into her coat and pulled out a cassette. Tape 5. We didn't play it. Not yet. First we talked, for hours, about things I shouldn't have known. Inside jokes that made my head hurt. Stories that made my chest ache. She told me about a trip we took to Lisbon. I told her about the night she showed me how to wire a loop pedal backwards just to mess with signal echo. None of it made sense, but it all felt right. Like finding a song you loved as a kid and somehow still knowing every lyric. Like remembering a dream that never belonged to you. Then, at 3 a.m., the radio finally spoke, but not the usual whisper, not the cryptic warnings. This was a scream. "Run!" Just that. Over and over, blown out and distorted like the world's worst emergency alarm. Claire stood up. "It's too early," she said, voice tight. "They're not supposed to find us yet." "Who?" But she was already backing toward the window. "You need to go. Hide the tape. Play it after 3:17, not before. And whatever happens, don't let me in again." I started to protest, but the lights cut out. The cassette deck whirred on by itself. And outside, I heard knocking. Not on the door, on the glass. I turned to look, and Claire was gone. Just the open window. Curtains blowing like they were trying to escape too. The knocking stopped. Then came one final radio message. Calm, quiet, like a bedtime story told by someone who already knows how it ends. "Last chance, Evan. The loop tightens. Don't forget who dies this time." I waited until 3:17 a.m. to play tape 5. Claire said not to do it early, and I listened this time. God help me, I listened. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe her voice again. Maybe mine. Maybe a clear answer. What I got was silence. Then a click. Then this. "You are now in the final loop. The route is fixed. No more corrections. No more warnings. The next sound you hear is the last sound she heard." A few seconds passed. Then, the low roar of an approaching train. Not a plane. A train. Faint at first. Then louder. Screeching brakes. Metal twisting. Then a scream. Cut off mid-breath. Then nothing. The tape stopped. I sat there with it in my hand for what felt like hours. But when I looked up, the clock still said 3:17. Still ticking. Still wrong. Then the radio turned itself on one final time. The voice was clearer than ever, like someone standing in the room beside me, breathing on the back of my neck. She doesn't die unless you let her board. Board what? The train? The plane? Me? At sunrise, I walked to the terminal. Yes, there's a terminal. Has been for years since before the warning started. An abandoned commuter rail stop on the edge of town, rusted shut and fenced off. I hopped the fence like I'd done before, too easily, like I'd practiced it. Inside, dust coated the benches like snow. The digital sign flickered to life as I stepped onto the platform. Next arrival, 3:17 a.m. passenger Claire. Below it, another line appeared, new. Transfer, Evan. She was already there, sitting on the bench like she never left. Same green coat, same scar, same look in her eyes, like she knew this wasn't the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. Did you bring the tape? She asked. I held up tape 5. She nodded and stood. Every version of you tries to save me. Every one of them fails in a different way, but none of you ever gets on the train. She stepped forward. This time, I won't ask you to stop me. She reached out her hand. Come with me instead. I almost laughed. After all this, the grand twist wasn't some cosmic reset button or ritual or memory puzzle. It was a choice. One seat. One chance. Save her? No. Go with her. The train pulled in at exactly 3:17. Doors slid open. Empty. Lit like a cathedral made of dying stars. We stepped on together. The doors closed. The terminal disappeared. No screams, no crashes. Just the low hum of something that had always been moving. Claire leaned on my shoulder and whispered, "Now someone else gets to remember us." The lights dimmed, and somewhere, far away, a broken radio finally went silent.